Welcome. My name is Shane O'Donnell. Welcome to Paradigm Shift on the Go. This channel is put together for entrepreneurs, people who have decided that they want to create something in their life. They may be at the stage of just getting the idea started. They're ruminating about it. Or you may be an entrepreneur who has started a business and you're finding there are challenges, there are roadblocks that sometimes may seem insurmountable. So the idea with this channel is to give you the personal development ideas, and I'd like to go beyond the personal development ideas. And what gives me the qualification to do that? Well, I lost a business in 2005 in Sydney, Australia, and I was 35 years old. And fortunately for me, through circumstances, events, I eventually found a mentor in a guy called Bob Proctor, and his programs literally transformed my the financial outcome in my life through another business, just applying the principles, and so I've become a accredited consultant for that organization, Proctor Gallagher, and we take people through essentially a 12-step program over 6 months, and you basically get a framework that you can set in your mind and that you can use over and over to move yourself beyond the situation that you might be in or the challenge that you might have come across. It just gives you a framework to keep going beyond, stretching beyond what seems to be a limitation right now. So this channel is giving you, my intention is to give you very practical ways to think about the mind and how to accomplish goals and how to overcome goals, and give you practical tools to keep growing as an entrepreneur. So welcome. Today I want to talk about the habit of imagination. Some have considered it the workshop of the mind. And this channel, just so that you understand, the premise that it's built on is that you have a power within you, that it's an intelligence that is far superior to any circumstance or situation you may be experiencing right now. You have that within you. You have the freedom to, through the habit of thought and through the habit of your emotions, the habit of your imagination, to activate this intelligence, to make it an unconscious decision to continually move into the space of creation. You have the freedom to decide to make that a part of your reality. And you have the ability to accomplish anything that you set your heart and your mind to, because the premise that comes from is that it would not be on your heart, it would not be in your mind if you didn't have the ability to accomplish it. The only question you have to ask yourself is if you have the will to do it, and that if the desire is great enough, of course you do. So I like to say that every human being has the perfectly natural human technology to accomplish whatever it is that they want to accomplish, to go to their promised land. And that is what I want to talk about today. Talk about the habit of imagination. And I'm here to remind you that everything's going to work out. It's actually all right. You have got enough right now. If you look around and appreciate what you have in your life, you've got enough. You've always had enough, and you always will have enough. That's better than thinking that or noticing what's missing in your life. So it's just a change of direction of your thoughts. There's much love for the entrepreneur. I think that the entrepreneur is such an important part of our society because they're the creators, they're the change makers. They are the people that step out of their comfort zone every day to create enterprises, organizations that employ other people. They provide value in the market, and it's very exciting. The entrepreneur will always be the creator in our society. So For whatever you intend to create, my encouragement today is stay the course. Keep looking for the information that will help you find hope, find some sort of peace that you can accomplish what it is, and you can believe in yourself that you can accomplish what it is that you set your mind to. Because entrepreneurship is a journey of transformation. You're starting with what you understand to be possible right now, and what it is that you want to create is way out of what you understand to be possible right now. And so as you progress towards that chief aim in your life, you just become more aware of what's possible for yourself. So let's talk about the habit of imagination, because what is that? What is the habit of imagination? Well, we think in pictures. So the pictures that we keep thinking about that are dominant in our mind, the thoughts that we keep thinking, they impact our emotional state, and our emotional state is what drives our behavior. If you look up any psychology book, they will come to the point where emotions drive behavior, and behavior give us our results. So therefore, the cause of our results is the quality of our thinking. So what is habit of imagination? Well, all it is habits of thought and habits of emotions that you keep moving into every day. And if you decide, and you have the ability to do this, to choose to step beyond those thoughts, to step beyond that emotional cycle that you might be moving into on a daily basis, that all it is a decision. And to step beyond that, all you have to do is hold that decision for a period of time, hold the space of that decision. And what will happen is that new, fresh ideas will come around that decision. And you'll find that we have a confirmation bias, and that will start to look for that new idea that you're holding in that empty space in your mind. It'll start to populate with evidence that that idea is your new truth. So how does that work? Well, think about this. Your imagination, in every moment, there are thoughts that you, or images that you're holding in your imagination, because we think in pictures, that are as real. They're part of our reality, just as this camera I'm talking to right now, just as the speaker that I'm talking onto right now. The physical experience we have in our life that we experience through our senses, through what we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, is as real as what we imagine. But we can't see our imagination. We can't smell our imagination. We can't touch our imagination. So really, who cares? Like, if you can't see it, really, who cares? Well, what you imagine in your mind is what comes into your reality in your life. That's what you experience in your life. We create our reality. So the thoughts that we think, they become the things in our life. What we think about, we bring about into our life. And our mind is a goal-seeking mechanism. So whatever you imagine essentially becomes the direction towards which your life moves. It's the goal that you've set, good, bad, or indifferent. And that's the interesting idea, because people ask me, well, why would I imagine a chronic illness? Why would I imagine having a failed business? Or why would I imagine the lack of customers that I have coming through my business, the lack of cash flow that's flowing through my business? Why would I imagine that? Well, if we think about this, most of our life, the decisions that we make, the results that we get in our life are caused from the thoughts that we have in our mind, that were set in our mind in our formative years, from young age, from the time we were born to generally about 7 years old. That's the idea, is that those years we experience life, we interpret what we experience, we form images in our brain. We're kind of just calibrating our way through life, saying, well, our parents argued about the price of bread. Our parents were complaining that they never have any time. So our parents were arguing about whatever it is. They had a hostile relationship. So we interpret married life as hostile, or that money was hard to make and there was never enough money. We made those we gave those experiences meaning in our formative years, and that forms what we call our belief system. And so most of those, or a lot of those ideas that are still permanent fixtures in our subconscious mind were fear-based ideas. They are ideas that we've perpetuated through our life, not willingly, because they were formed when we didn't have a reasoning factor to argue the point. So they just become part of our character, of who we are. Now, the beautiful thing is we can change those ideas. We don't have to perpetuate them through our life. And that's the idea of the whole idea of personal development, is when you get into personal development, often the information that you read or you hear about on YouTube and so on makes absolute sense, but quite often there's no real solution of how to change that. While there are many ways to change habitual thought patterns, there are many ways to change the way that you feel, or the way that your emotional state, from an emotional state that doesn't feel good to an emotional state that is more connected to the truth of who you are, and an emotional state that is more of a growth-minded emotional state. You can learn to shift that and make it a part of your daily routine to move into those sort of states of being. So I like to always say that it doesn't matter what video I say, there's only two states of being. There's a connected growth state of being where you feel good and you're resourceful. And then there's a disconnected state. And that's when you don't feel good. You actually have activated your sympathetic nervous system and you've gone into fight flight mode. Now you can learn to move to a connected growth state of being where you feel good, you're calm and relaxed, and you're able to respond to life. You can learn to do that very simply. There are a couple of methods that you can do. One is the daily practice of gratitude. Write down on a piece of paper what you actually appreciate in your life, the people in your life, the things that you have, the opportunity you have to start a business. Write those down. Actually physically do it every day. Make it a habit, and the first thing in the morning. And for some people, they might spend a bit of time praying or meditating, quietening their mind so they can connect to the source of their supply, the God of their understanding. Those are really good ideas if you're an entrepreneur, because when you connect to your source of supply, that is the growth state. That's where fresh new ideas come from. What is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur's currency in the marketplace, their uniqueness is their ability to create solutions for problems that people have. That's what an entrepreneur does. They specialize that. So if you're in a disconnected and you've activated your sympathetic nervous system, you're actually in fight-flight mode. You're not in a creative state. So it makes sense for an entrepreneur to learn how to stay in a connected state as much as possible. But we're going back to this whole idea of the habit of imagination, because if you think of your imagination, if you have read any of the advanced self-help books, creation is already complete. Everything that we want to create is already here. So the idea that the Wright brothers invented flight. Well, did they invent flight, or was flight always available for mankind to um, invent? All the material, all the natural processes, and all the resources to create flight were always available. It was just the ideas of individuals that put the contraption together and they got it off the ground. And now we have flight that's part of mankind's everyday life. So the idea, the ability to create flight was always there. It was just our awareness wasn't there until the Wright brothers actually created it, and then now it's part of our lives. So if we take that idea and say that that your imagination, all it is a field of potential. There are ideas out there waiting for you, and they're your ideas waiting for you to connect with. And that's in every moment. So if we imagine, if we think of our imagination as just pure potential, that potential we can use against us or for us. We can create what we want, or we can create what we don't want. Both are equally available to us at any moment. So learning to shift your mind to focus on what we do want is probably a good idea. And the better you become at it is really that's where the super entrepreneurs are really good at it. They're really good at focusing in that potential and drawing out what it is that they need to create. Because when you find an idea and you hold that idea, and more ideas populate around that idea, around the space of that idea, then what happens is that you start to go to work based on that idea, and slowly but surely over a period of time, the idea that was in the mind, in this field of potential, now becomes a thing in the world. It becomes a thing because you start to work in a certain way. It becomes a thing because you start to meet people that are interested in the same idea, and then you create these synchronicities or partnerships with people that, or you might have investors come in because they think the idea is a really good idea. So now you're starting to create what it is that you want. It all starts in the mind, and the quality of the mind, the quality of your thoughts, the clearer that you think, is all entirely up to you. It's not about intelligence. Intelligence helps, but it's about awareness of what's possible and staying focused on this awareness of what's possible. I get a lot of people say, well, what about problems? I just don't seem to be able to get away from the problems. Well, the problems are part of the entrepreneur's journey. In fact, it's part of our human condition. We can't get away from problems. Problems are actually designed for you to figure out what it is that you don't want, recognize that, and say, okay, well, if that's what I don't want, I'd prefer that. Let me go in that direction. So it is actually a navigating system for your mind. If we look at it from that point of view, then you can detach from the problem and just say, okay, well, I don't want that. This is what I prefer. And you start to focus on that. That is the whole idea about problems that are so misunderstood. So every time you come up against a challenge, you can stay there and focus on that, or you have the opportunity to really lift yourself up and say, well, that's what I prefer. And then you start to be drawn towards that idea away from the problem. So that's why I say that every situation that you may be, the situation that you may be in right now may seem dire. It may seem that there's no way out. Well, there is a way out. There always will be, and there always is. And I can say that from personal experience, because when I lost my business in Sydney in 2005, I was 35 years old, brand new in Australia. I had no connections, no business connections, and no resources. And my life is completely different now because I followed a process, and I kept looking for what's possible. And I kept creating in my mind the ideal life that I'd love to live. And that whole idea has come to pass. So in 2005, over a weekend, I wrote out a story of the ideal life that I'd love to live. I'm literally living that life now. It was ideal day I'd love to live in 5 years from now. It didn't happen in 5 years. It happened in 15 years. But I'm still glad it happened, because my life now is completely different to the stress-filled, anxious, anxiety. I don't think I was going to make it life I had when I was 35 years old and had lost everything. I had a very upset wife, and I didn't know how to fix it. And all it is a process. And the power comes from the imagination. The imagination is a reality of potential that only you can see. But when you're in the pain, when you've got everything, it seems like everything's up against you, then there is a way out of that. There is a way forward. And I'm a big believer. I've got a 3-step or 3-pillar approach to this whole thing. That's kind of what I've come to the conclusion, is that on a daily basis, we get the opportunity to really control, really spend some time managing, probably a better word than control, managing what state of being I'm in. Am I in a connected growth state of mind, or am I disconnected? Am I in fight-flight mode, where I've activated my sympathetic system, nervous system, and I'm reactive? Or am I calm and relaxed, connected, looking for the next opportunity, connected, looking for the solutions? Because focusing on the problem when you're in fight-flight, that's a different frequency to the solution. The solution is a completely different vibration frequency to operate from. And if you're in that space up there, you have that opportunity to go there all the time. What I found, and the one thing I realized when I lost everything, is that no one's coming to save you. You get to save yourself, and you have the power within you. There's an intelligence that's, it's far superior than any situation you might be experiencing. It's in you right now. You have the freedom to, through habit of thought, habit of emotion, through habit of imagination, to activate that intelligence, to create the results that you decide is important for your life. You have the ability to accomplish anything that is on your heart, a desire that is on your heart, and that you've considered in your mind. If you've created it in your mind, there's a reason for it. It's meant to come into this world. You're meant to create it. I love to say is that, all of us have perfectly natural human technology to create radical change in our lives. Change comes through a changed mind. Once you learn to understand that the thinking that you have right now is not the same thinking of the person who will have accomplished the goal that you've set for yourself. That's way outside of your understanding of what's possible right now. That person is far more aware than the person that you are right now. And so it's just a process of becoming more aware of what's possible for your life. That's all it is. That's what I found. And funny enough, when I first started my first training course with Bob Proctor, was 12 months. Monica, who sold me the course, she said to me, because I said, I just want to do the 6-month course. She said, no, Bob says you've got to do the 12-month course. I said, why? She said, Bob says you've got to become aware of who you are. I said, I know who I am. Monica said, you have no idea. And I'm glad she persisted, because she was right. I had no idea. I didn't know what it meant, really, the true essence of becoming aware. And most people nowadays are a little more educated, but I was a farm boy. I'd come off a farm, and I didn't really understand what all that meant. But for those of you who've been on personal development for a while, the idea of going beyond personal development is what I really encourage you to consider. So my 3-pillar approach is: one is state of being, managing that and making, making the idea of being in a connected growth state more often than a disconnected your priority. So that's step pillar one. Pillar two is understanding how to continue to shift your paradigm, how to keep expanding your awareness of what's possible for you, how to let go of limiting beliefs and replace them with better functioning, more productive beliefs. That will take you to your goal. And then the third is for you to learn to surrender to the natural laws that govern this intelligent universe that we live in. You can fight against it. The formula is very simple. It is desire plus non-resistance equals desired outcome. And for most of us, we're taught, and I went through a couple of businesses like this. This is what I really want, my desire, and I'm just going to work really hard, which I did 7 days, and then I'll get my desired outcome. But that wears you out, and it's not that enjoyable. We got massive results, but it was at the sacrifice of friends, of relationships, of my health. So I don't recommend it. You can get the same results by surrendering to the natural laws that govern this universe, to the one principle that energy is. Energy is. Or if you're if you believe there's a God, God just is. And when we get that concept and that everything that we create is a co-creative process, we're not meant to force things. We're meant to co-create with the power that's greater than who we are. When we get that, then it actually becomes enjoyable. Entrepreneurship is a journey of transformation. And I hope that this talk about the habit of imagination has helped. If you've got any questions, please send them through to me. It doesn't matter what platform you're watching this on, just send me a note and I'll get back to you on that. I love this subject and I love you. Thank you very much. You are you're living the life that you're meant to live. The entrepreneur is a creative individual. Everyone has that creative ability, but the entrepreneur has put themselves in a place where they want to bring to the world this thing that's on their heart. And I encourage you to stay the course.